Welcome everybody to the final debrief, IKEA strategy debrief, the Collaborate strategy. Thank you very much for joining us. As we wait for people to arrive, if you want to put into chat, please, where you are listening or viewing from, that will be fantastic. So if you could head over to chat to do that, and we'll just wait about another minute for other participants to join. So let's see. So Andrea, welcome from Washington, DC. David from New York City, welcome. I'm in sunny Cornwall, the southwest tip of England. Rosanna from Bangladesh, welcome, Rosanna. And Priya Kohli from Bombay, very welcome. Inetta from Latvia, very welcome, Inetta. And let's see if we have a few more people joining us, and then we will begin. But as you're waiting, if you go to chat, make sure you select all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see your messaging chat. We have Akshay from Delhi, welcome. And I will endeavor, I think, to get underway. But as you continue to join, please, again, go to chat, let us know where you're listening or viewing from. Zubida from Kuwait, welcome to you, Zubida. Okay, so for today, we are discussing the Collaborate strategy. The Collaborate strategy, the fifth of the 5 strategies introduced by Professor Rogers. And hopefully those of you that are on this call, Julio from Barcelona, Julio, Cecina from Washington, DC, that's 2 from Washington, very good. Lima, Carla from Lima, Peru, Nicole, hello from Germany, very good. So I enjoyed your homework again, as usual, very good. For the most part, very good. Lots of good examples, which hopefully we will cover many of them in today's debrief. I think today's debrief might actually be a little bit shorter than the other 4, which went a full hour, lots of stuff to cover. This one might be a little shorter. It has nothing to do with the fact that there is Ascot Racing on my TV. Absolutely not. But anyway, yeah, I think judging by the previous Collaborate strategy debriefs, it's going to be just a tad shorter than the hour. We'll do a bit of an overview on the sort of Collaborate strategy, make sure we're all sort of on the same page in terms of what it is. We'll look at IKEA's Collaborate strategy, which I would qualify as evolving. And I think a lot of your homework reinforced, I should say, that notion. We'll have a very quick look at Lego, and they do an interesting contest actually to draw in new product ideas from its sort of wider network of customers. So it may possibly something that IKEA could match. We'll reflect on your discussion thread for Collaborate. Have you collaborated? If so, why? What are the sort of triggers that inspire you to collaborate, which sort of go back to the incentives that Professor Rogers talked about, whether it's love, money, and so forth, in terms of why we choose to collaborate. So very good. So let's kick on. The definition, in essence, on the Collaborate strategy, this is co-creation with your customers, with your wider networks, because we actually go a bit more broad than just pure customers in this particular debrief, in the case of IKEA. From product innovation, so, getting new product ideas and so on and so forth, all the way through all aspects of the customer journey. And you saw that again in Professor Rogers's examples. For instance, the potato chip company, having a bit of a brain freeze in terms of remembering exactly which potato chip company it was, but where they get their customers, their fans, to actually do the advertising for them, and then they post them in the Super Bowl, the very famous Dorito ads, right? So that's all aspects of the customer journey. Okay, and again, as Professor Rogers noted in some of the videos that you viewed, the best ideas may well lay outside of the company. So, you know, a company's finite number of people, you know, in terms of IKEA customers, there's lots and lots of customers, and some of the ideas could come directly from outside the company. We're leveraging what they call the wisdom of the crowds, right? So these are terms that you will be familiar with. If not before doing this particular module, you should now be familiar with them. It's important for a company, and this is where I think IKEA is evolving a little bit, is to create an environment that helps capture ideas and suggestions. IKEA does it very, very well in one sense, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but then in a second sense, I think it's sort of developing, as it were. The sort of collaborate strategy helps deepen engagement with your most passionate customers. And I think that's really an interesting idea, right? How do you really invigorate your most passionate customers, and how do you potentially not invigorate them? We can look at the IKEA Hackers.net case a little bit later in this collaborate strategy to see, you know, they did make some missteps, I think, handling the IKEA Hackers.net environment, because if you remember, they're in that sort of free marketing space. A lot of IKEA fans are on that particular site and creating hacks and modifications and so forth. Potentially IKEA should be doing something to sort of partner and invigorate and be a part of that community, rather than having a hands-off approach as it appears to do at this point. The collaborate strategy helps reduce innovation risk. If you're getting innovative ideas directly from your customers, then you've already got, you know, some of your customer base is clearly already interested in that particular product before you bring it out to the market. So helps save innovation costs. And I would also say it's kind of in somewhat fashion, it's related to the Connect strategy that we covered last week. So again, we're dealing with customers sometimes outside of our networks directly, whether it's customer conversations, but in this case, we're trying to engage customers in helping us sort of co-create, whether it's products, marketing, or whatever it might be. So that's sort of on the definitional side of where we are. Yes, Doritos, I think you're exactly right. So very, very good. And yeah, collaborate strategy does sort of help you engage, as you mentioned, Priya, with your customers. So that's very important. Okay, so some examples of collaborate strategy that I think IKEA does very well. Research. It really does a good job of reaching out to its customers to understand its customer behavior, their living conditions, their living issues, and so on and so forth. And there are lots of examples that you guys cited, guys being gender neutral, you guys cited in your homeworks that that supported this. So they used the surveys and chatbots, the home tour squad. You know, whilst that's particularly part of the engage strategy in terms of the content itself, it's actually going out to people's homes and learning is part of the sort of collaboration. We're directly evolving with the customer new product ideas. IKEA Life at Home reports again was also examples identified by you, and we have IKEA Play report that's been ongoing for a number of years now, understanding the important role of play in the home, and therefore IKEA can learn with that particular research in terms of helping develop new product innovation. So to the extent they're doing research with their customers, you can say that is collaboration. You're learning from your customer, you're doing that directly with the customer. and IKEA does a good job with that. The IKEA Home View ad in Copenhagen was another example that was cited multiple times by your homework. So very good. The share space example was also cited, and to reiterate, this was a cool, a pretty good aspect of their website where customers could share their own modifications in their own rooms and how they set up their rooms based with IKEA product directly on the ShareSpace site on IKEA's website. But IKEA has recently decided to close that endeavor. So that is no longer, and recently, as in the last couple of months. The First 59 campaign, again, we talked about in the Engage strategy, it also fits into collaborate in as much as IKEA is collaborating directly with customers and so forth to learn important insight to create that campaign. And then a number of you cited the sort of toy drawing contests. There's one in Indonesia. They actually now do it all around the world as examples of getting kids to create product for IKEA. That's a very good example of customization, using gamification, which is something we talked about in some previous debriefs. We could even argue, as some of you did, that the IKEA effect is an example of collaboration, i.e. the fact is when we get our IKEA product, it's in a flat pack and we've got to build it. So because we've got to build it, we're in essence collaborating with IKEA to make the final product. So that's part of the whole IKEA bargain. And we talked about the IKEA effect before, sort of almost from a personalization standpoint, customization standpoint. It's sort of, you know, my furniture, my personal furniture, because I had to actually build it and create it and so forth. So that's very good. And one of you highlighted this example to sort of show that IKEA is constantly asking, is there a better way? That's how the IKEA home furnishings offer remains unique and how we try to make everyday life better for the many people. The idea here is sort of focusing on that continuous process of learning and research and collaborating at the research level with customers to understanding how we live all around the world and what is important to our livelihood or our living situations around the world. Here's an example you provided in terms of a kids drawing contest. So join IKEA Soft Toys. It's actually a bit of an old example. So, but there we go, Soft Toys drawing competition. So this would be really cool, right? Lots of kids have ideas and their parents, they encourage them. The bonus could be that they get their toy actually marketed and produced by IKEA. So that could be some passion and some love and so on and so forth in terms of reward, right? So, you know, it's a very smart move, I think, on the point of IKEA, and they do this now on this type of contest on a very regular basis all around the world. Sort of going off on a bit of a tangent, but again, you guys focus on this to some extent in your homeworks. IKEA does quite a lot of corporate collaboration. So in terms of a collaborate strategy, it's broadening a little bit beyond just the individual customer and collaborating more so now with other brands and other interests. So examples that you identified in this regard were designers Chris Stamp, Tom Dixon, Virgil Abloh was another example, and you came up with a few other examples in terms of design, and that makes sense. These designers have different insights, and they can then be brought to, you know, if they're more clothing designers, that can then be brought into the furniture world and do some interesting things. A few big brand collaborations. So from the Lego side, IKEA has sort of partnered with Lego on the play side. So how do we make our home life more playful? There's sort of that conflict, as it were, between, you know, kids just wanting to create a mess when they're playing and adults wanting everything to be tidy. So how do you tie all that together. I don't think yet there has been some absolute outcomes of the Lego IKEA collaboration, but we'll see down the road how that develops. The same with Adidas, looking at sort of home fitness scenarios. So that would be Adidas collaborating with IKEA. Sonos actually looking at sort of smart speakers and various other things. There are actually product in that collaboration already out there, and we'll look at that in a minute. And again, from your homework. Disable, very interesting collaboration using 3D printing to create add-ons to IKEA products to make them more accessible to disabled folks. So a very sort of honorable collaboration in that regard, and something useful, obviously, for IKEA to make their product more accessible to a wider audience. Greyhound, I think, is a collaboration out of Thailand, again, identified from one of your homework. So thank you very much for that. And then the sort of, on the non-profit side, IKEA is really trying to again, as I mentioned, in the engage strategy, IKEA really wants you to just like them as a company, right, as part of its engagement strategy. And as part of that, it's sort of that sort of sustainable endeavor and so on and so forth. So as part of that, it partners directly with NGOs around the world to do interesting things. So the World Wildlife Fund Sustainable Life projects, World Wildlife Fund for Sustainability, Life at Home, Jordan River Foundation, UNICEF, sort of supporting kids and so forth. The interesting thing about hackers, so a number of us talked about hackers in this collaborate strategy. And so to be clear, what is a hacker? A hacker is a creator, right? So we hear the term hackers a lot, and it's associated with computers, and it's associated with people breaking into computer systems. That's actually a misuse of the term. Those are crackers with a C. Hackers are actually creative people. So for instance, back to computers, if you are familiar with the open source community, sort of building off the Linux project, which was mentioned by Professor Rogers, those would be hackers that do that, not crackers. But the reality is, there are lots of IKEA hacks out there. I'm going to talk about IKEAhackers.net a little bit later, and you can Google IKEA hacks, and you can go to YouTube with IKEA hacks and see lots and lots of results. Is this part of the collaborate strategy? I would say yes, if IKEA is at some level partnering with these hackers in their particular endeavors. The reality is they're not. So out there in that, again, that sort of free marketing space, there are lots of other entities riding on the back of, I would say, the IKEA brand, because the IKEA brand is very strong, obviously in the furniture space. But are they directly collaborating? I think you actually have to have a relationship to collaborate. So we could probably say that's not collaboration, but it's very interesting nonetheless. Anyway, here's some of the corporate collaborations that I just mentioned. This again came from one of your homework assignments, sort of piecing a few of them together. The Adidas one up the top left. IKEA is curious to understand what people want and need when it comes to exercising, sleeping, and eating at home. IKEA and Adidas will collaborate to explore the connections between living spaces. So again, that idea is will. We don't actually yet know the outcome of that. Further down, you see the Sonos collaboration. The IKEA, the World Wildlife Fund, working with IKEA on climate, cotton, and forests. That's very good. Here, again, from one of your homeworks, talking about sort of social entrepreneurship and how IKEA is really helping enable those in developing economies sort of do some interesting entrepreneurial stuff in a co-creation fashion. So that's very good. And a number of you also identified this particular product as an example of potential customer collaboration. It was kind of an interesting stretch of an example, I would say. So the Dell Active product is this sort of, is it a sofa, is it a bed? You could do lots of different tweaks and different things with it. And you can create complementary products that sit on top of the sofa or bed in terms of how you've set it up. So in one of the articles that was cited in a few of your homeworks, they again used the word hacks. You know, you can hack this sofa by adding, let's say, a desk lamp or whatever, and so forth to it. Is this customize strategy, or is it collaborate strategy? I can leave that to you. I think it's a bit of a gray area, but more than one of you did actually ask that question directly, in terms of in terms of which one it is. For those of you that are leaving thoughtful comments in chat, that's fantastic. I will go back to those at the end of this debrief and review them and answer them. It looks like they're a little bit too detailed for me to respond directly, so I will endeavor to do that. So thank you for contributing in the chat. Okay, so this is the delicate, or whatever it was called. I hate to say it slightly wrong. So IKEA has designed a platform that allows designers, or anyone really, to add or modify its furniture. So you could say from that standpoint that it's more customized versus collaborate, but the point is it's allowing the customer to collaborate with whatever IKEA is producing, to create a unique, i.e. a customized solution. So it sort of fits in both areas. They're calling it open source, but again, if you're a geek, you would probably argue, is it truly open source, like you know, Linux or even Google Android or something like that. So here's a commentary about it, but you don't have to be an established, well-known designer to work with IKEA. The company regularly works with design schools and recently invited students from 3 countries to hack Tom Dixon's new Dell-Actig sofa. So that's what I've just been focusing on there. Student designers are also our customers, so they are crucial to developing our range. I like their fresh thinking and pure ideas, says Karen. So very, very good. But an example of potential collaboration in that regard. Okay, so I'm going to focus on 2 other aspects of co-creation and collaboration that IKEA is undertaking. But again, I would say in this regard, they're just starting down this collaboration path. This is new for IKEA versus some other companies that are a little bit more established in doing this. So we've got the IKEA Bootcamp. We can look at that real quick, and then co-create with IKEA. Both examples, again, that you guys highlighted in your homework. So I'm very grateful for that. So the IKEA Bootcamp, they basically run this now twice, 2018 and 2019. The idea behind the Bootcamp is to get entrepreneurs that are doing, you know, some cool stuff, whatever it might be, to come under the IKEA umbrella, take advantage of IKEA resources as they develop whatever business they're developing. And, you know, IKEA invites, I think it was 20 in the most recent boot camp. And they all come to one particular location for 2 or 3 months. They have all these IKEA resources to help, again, further develop their business model. And then IKEA has some option, I suppose, to potentially license whatever is developed in this scenario, right? And you could argue, well, why would entrepreneurs partner with IKEA like this? Well, IKEA is a huge platform. So obviously if IKEA wanted to license their product, once it's developed, that would be a great advantage to that company potentially. IKEA also just has a lot of resources for innovation. Small sort of startup type companies getting access to those resources can be fantastic, I would imagine, right? So here's some examples for the IKEA Bootcamp that just began for 2019, the end of March. So Furnish from the United States is a subscription service for your home. Furnish gives their customers styling home furnishings for however long they want them. They do it using circularity as their business model with advanced asset management, recycling, upcycling of their products. So this is something that IKEA itself is experimenting with. This sort of circularity is very important in its sustainability model. So it makes sense for IKEA to partner with a startup like this. IKEA will learn, this company learns, and potentially there's some positive sum gain for both entities. So Circadia, the UK, has developed a contactless health sensor and personalized therapies to improve your sleep, mood, and energy. So again, that goes back to IKEA does a lot of research on sleep. It makes a lot of beds. So understanding this stuff's really important, right? So clearly IKEA is partnering with startups that have tangentially related sort of ideas. They're very innovative, they're very creative. In terms of the boot camp, the types of businesses have to fall under at least one of these three areas: affordability, because it's furniture for the many people; accessibility, as well as sustainability. So you imagine that first example from furniture absolutely ties into that sustainability. So those are some examples from the Bootcamp initiative. So that's very good. IKEA also is trying to sort of show how it's co-creating with individuals. So a number of you focused on this, how we co-create. And actually, in previous runs of this course, IKEA had a very different sort of web presence on its co-creation, and they just changed it in the last few weeks. So again, it's sort of symptomatic to me of them being quite new at this and trying to figure out the best way to present how they can truly co-create with their broader customer network. So how we co-create. From the beginning, IKEA set out to create a better everyday life for the many people. We've done this by visiting homes, listening to the needs and wishes people around. And this is absolutely true, right? This is spot on. They have done this. They do this very well. And that's what I tried to reinforce at the beginning of this debrief. Putting people first is a powerful way to explore those everyday problems. And now we invite everyone to join us. So what they're now trying to do is figure out a way to get anybody that's interested in co-creating and participating to participate. And that's the sort of new angle that IKEA is moving down, the new path it's trying to become better at, I would say. After all, you are the experts in your life at home, and through doing things together, we will find the best solutions and so forth. And then a number of you identified some examples that they're exploring through this co-create platform. So the emotional side of scent, which that I'm not quite sure I understand that at all, but there we go. Living room storage, what we learned from you, cooking, eating, serving, the problem you recognize, and then co-creating on the shop floor with customers in Shanghai. I thought this was really interesting, and a few of you did actually focus directly on this in terms of co-creation. And basically what IKEA did is in Shanghai, on its shop floor, it set up some kind of presence where customers could actually participate in testing prototypes, right, of new products, of potential innovations. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking this actually could be a really interesting model for them to roll out in a number of their other big box IKEA stores, right? So as much as IKEA is now moving its retail presence to more urban environments, smaller shops, using technology and so forth, even in those environments with their experience stores and stuff, they can innovate and get customers more involved in the product innovation and prototyping aspect of their development, right? So that would seem to make sense. But anyway, a number of you focused on this in your homeworks. That was very, very good. I just switched gears a little bit to Lego. I'm thankful my colleague Elise does Lego and the debriefs of Lego, and when I watched them, I was particularly struck by Lego's platform that they have for customers to share their ideas for the next Lego sets and so on and so forth. And the idea would be then, if these Lego sets are so interesting, then Lego would go ahead and produce those Lego sets, right? So that's a very good example, I think, of co-creation and collaboration with your customer. So we could take a quick look at what Lego is doing and where this sort of idea came from. So Kusu Brick, or Kusu, I should say, was the original brand for this particular endeavor. So you can imagine, again, in the free marketing space, there is a website out there, not directly tied to Lego at the time, that's sort of experimenting with you know, what new Lego sets might be useful and so on and so forth. And then Lego realizes that this is a really interesting thing that's going on. And I'm reading from the paragraph near the bottom. Kusu, I call it team, launched Lego Kusu officially together with Lego in 2008. It became the first consumer-generated brick community with crowdsourcing and crowdfunding features, things that we're now familiar with from Professor Rogers' videos. With its successful results such as Lego Shinkai 6500, Lego Hayabusa, and Lego Minecraft, which I have actually heard of, it was transferred to Lego Ideas in April 2014. So this is now under the Lego brand on the Lego website and so forth. So it's very interesting. Here's a quick synopsis of what Lego is actually doing with this platform. So in 2008, Lego Kusu, so as I mentioned, customers submit new original creative ideas in the form of product ideas. Other members then vote on those ideas. So there's lots of gamification type stuff involved. Lego considers potential new brick-based Lego play sets, right? So the rules. When you post your idea, you have 60 days to get 100 supporters. If you jump over that hurdle, you have a year to reach 1,000 supporters. You get over that hurdle, you have another 6 months to get 5,000 supporters. Get over that hurdle, 6 months to get 10,000 supporters. So you can imagine you're really trying to you're getting a lot of support. And if it gets to 10,000 supporters, Lego's recognize, well, this might be a really interesting product innovation that we could roll out, or a new play set, or whatever it's called. So then the Lego review board reviews the ideas that get the 10,000 and considers for production using the similar process it would do for its own internal design. So that would be sort of checking with legal, making sure there's no abusive stuff related to it or whatever it might be. Thus far, 22 sets have been produced using this model from February 2011, and there are currently 20 or somewhere around there in review. So at that final stage that the Lego review board is looking at them. The reward for, why does someone do this is you get 1% of total net sales of the product, plus you get 10 sets. So there's some financial reward, but I would also recognize that they've got to be passionate, right? These are Lego fans. So you better also be passionate about Lego to participate. So basically what's Lego doing? Utilizing the weak ties in its community, outsourcing innovation to community ensures the cost of failure becomes lower. You need, for a rule game, something like this, very clear rules, expectations, make sure both sides win. Innovation ideas represent a clear win for Lego, but customers also need to get the clear win. So that's sort of, again, how a customer is rewarded to participate. Customers aren't employees, so whilst they get enjoyment, you've got to recognize that, and you've got to be open and transparent so the ideas flourish. And I think this example is a good example of that on the Lego side. So well done to them. And I think that is in stark contrast with what IKEA did, for example, with IKEAhackers.net, which we talked about in the Connect strategy a little bit. We can talk about it today too, in terms of, rather than bringing like an IKEAhackers.net sort of thing directly to the IKEA site and having people modify stuff and post stuff all over the IKEA site, IKEA took a very different approach. So it's an independent hacker community. So hacker is creator, creative community. Since May 2006, started by fans, we talked about it a little bit again last week. The conflict occurred in 2014 when IKEA decided it wanted to take down this site. So a cease and desist letter and so on and so forth. And they resolved that conflict, so the site's still now running. And it shows new uses for products, lots of modifications, that kind of stuff, add-ons. So kind of like, almost like to that open source product that IKEA has been promoting. It's sort of now realizing this might be, formalizing this a bit more, might be the right way to go. So this is from, and again, a number of you identified this in your homework, so that was very good. So this is from the IKEAhackers.net website. Are you paid by IKEA, or is this an elaborate scheme by IKEA to make us buy more furniture? So, and the answer is flat out no. The Jules Yap does post some advertisements to make a little bit of money, because she has to, because it's a full-time job for her, but she's not getting paid by IKEA. And this is why I question if this truly is collaboration, simply because if IKEA isn't supporting this site in any way, even to the extent, I mean, if IKEA was telling Jules Yap of upcoming products coming out and giving her a heads up and so on and so forth, you could then start arguing this is collaboration. But if IKEA has a complete hands-off approach, then you can't really say it's collaboration, but you can argue that this is a great opportunity for IKEA to collaborate, as it were, because it's fantastic for IKEA that a lot of its customers like to share modifications and get people inspired to buy more IKEA and participate more in IKEA communities. And the Jules Yap example isn't the only example out there in the free marketing space in terms of IKEA hacks. So here, House Beautiful, which is a brand that clearly serves the furniture market space, has a whole section on the 30 coolest hacks for all your favorite IKEA products. That's great for IKEA, but it's also great for House Beautiful, because clearly if IKEA is such an important brand in the furniture space, they're going to want to cover it so they get viewership and readership, which is a financial reward for them. Again, you can go to YouTube, IKEA hack, and you see 35 most brilliant DIY IKEA hacks ever. Again, you can't really argue that this is collaboration, but you can argue that this is great opportunity for collaboration. But you see the top result is from Simply DIY home decor ideas, and then there's Lone Fox home decor ideas. So these are brands that are selling eyeballs. And how do they sell eyeballs? They focus content on something that's very popular, and one thing that is very popular is IKEA hacks. So here on Pinterest, again, IKEA hack, lots of results and so forth. So we were asked whether IKEA's customers are active or passive collaborators. A lot of you gave some good insight in depending on the examples you used. That was very good. So clearly those that participate in market research are actively participating, I think. So I would call that active collaboration. Anyone participating in any kind of co-creation, I think, again, they're actively doing it, that's active. And I say, even though we argue that hackers aren't directly collaborating with IKEA, they're clearly participating with the brand and helping IKEA in that regard, and they're doing it very actively. The passive collaborators, that's, when your buyer behavior, to the extent that IKEA is doing something with that data and so on and so forth, that would be examples of passive collaboration. But the question begs, why would consumers collaborate with IKEA? And there's different types of consumers that do collaborate. So what motivates Jules Yap? Even though, okay, I would argue that it's not direct collaboration because IKEA is not directly supporting her. Why does Jules Yap spend a lot of time, effort, and energy on the IKEA Hackers Net website. So why don't you jump into chat real quick and throw out an answer or two in terms of why Jules Yap does it. Now, remind us of the sort of 3 criteria that Professor Rogers highlights, and then hybrid being a sort of combination of the 3. So love, passion, glory, ego, or money. Which of these 3 elements would you suggest motivates someone like Jules Yap to run a site directly relevant to the all about the IKEA brand? Love the brand and glory, says Carla. Passion, sanguine personality, a great business opportunity for a globally loved brand. So that's money. Very good. Glory, all 3. Yes, very good. I would agree. I do think this is an aspect of all 3. So clearly, Jules Yap has to be passionate about IKEA, otherwise she would never have gone down this path. When you're running a site like this, I don't care who you are, you're going to get some ego out of it. Even to the extent that you just want to run the website well and build community, goes back to your ego and social proof. And in my own life, I ran a community and horse welfare advocates, and you can kind of understand, even though I was trying to do everything altruistically, there would be some ego involved in making sure it works well and getting my name out there and that kind of stuff. So she has to be passionate. There's going to be some level of ego, and she ads and so on and so forth, and she has to, because that's basically her day job. So what about the Lego contributors? So Lego, in that sort of gamification exercise, I think they've got to be passionate about Lego. I think there's some ego. If you become a designer that designs a product that Lego then markets, that's fantastic. There'll be some ego and there's going to be some money. So again, a hybrid as an example, I think. So very good. So we finished at that. Your collaborate discussion thread was very interesting. And you gave some very good examples in terms of some of the things that you do collaborate with. And again, it boils down to some of these similar factors. You're going to collaborate with stuff about which you're passionate. And one of you used the phrase that you have an emotional connection. So I sort of bundled that into being passionate about something. So for me, it might be a horse welfare issue, as that's something that I've been involved in for a number of years. So if there's a horse welfare issue that's arisen, I might get involved directly, or I might contribute some funds, or I might do something because I'm passionate about horses. You want to trust, or you need a high level of trust. Unfortunately, there's been a number of fraud cases with people contributing money through crowdfunding sites and so on and so forth. So there has to be an element of trust involved to make you more willing to contribute. So a number of you identified that. Interestingly, one of you identified this notion of having expertise and then being able to share it. And you're sort of sat in your office in your day job, and it's just a nice relief to get out there and maybe go onto Quora, or I think your example was in the healthcare, so it could be on different forums and whatever, and sharing insights and sort of educating because you have that expertise. And Wikipedia Hello? Hold on. Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you go into chat and let me know? Huh. Hello? Oh, I'm looking into chat. Okay, yes, we can hear you. So can you confirm that you can still hear me? Yes, it's working. So I don't know what's happened. Are you still seeing the slides? Yes, yes, no slides. Anyway, we're at the end of let me just try one thing real quick. Okay. Can you see the slides now? Yes. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. My computer just melted on me, but it seems to have recovered. So I appreciate your patience. So anyway, we have come to the end. I wanted to thank you all very much for all of your participation in these debriefs. I just show you real quick. I'm a big fan of Wikipedia, so I've created entries in Wikipedia as I've told you. I'm passionate about horses, so that's a horse thing that I did. And I've also done some crowdfunding for a documentary that I created on some horse welfare issues. So I'm big into all this stuff. If you could, as you leave, answer the survey for one final time, that would be absolutely fantastic. I will. I should have done this before hand, but I think you get the link as you exit the debrief. So if you could complete that, that would be fantastic. I just wanted to thank you all very much for attending these debriefs, and I'll give you a very quick overview of the 5 strategies so that we're clear of each of the strategies. And then if you have any other questions, please stay on chat so I can answer those questions and make sure that we are clear on the 5 strategies that we've covered, right? So in the first strategy was the access strategy. So that's the points of access that IKEA or your firm or a business provides access for its customers to the business, right? So it could be, you know, social media pages, it could be its website, in IKEA's case, also its shops and so forth. But these are the places of access that you have access directly with IKEA. Then we looked at the engage strategy, which is the content that goes through to these access points to engage its customers, right? So, so we looked at a number of different examples, the IKEA Home Tour series and so on and so forth. And then we also explored the ideas of what makes content go viral, how to write compelling stories and so on and so forth. But that's all about the engage strategy. That's the content marketing that you adopt that then essentially goes through these access points. Then we looked at the customized strategy, and that's simply going from different target audiences, different personas, to the potential of targeting the individual customer. And that's what customize means. So we use the words interchangeably, personalize and customize, and the various tactics. And I sort of advocated that IKEA actually does a good job providing tools for customers to customize their experience and customize rooms and so on and so forth. So we explored that. So that's the customized strategy. Last week, we looked at the connect strategy. And this is sort of looking at our customers, how they're all connected with each other, chatting with each other, and how we've lost a little bit of control of our branding ourselves. And I introduced the free marketing framework to sort of try to tie the connect strategy then with the sort of access and engage strategies. And then finally, we have the collaborate strategy, which is what hopefully we've covered for today. So hopefully that helps distinguish the different strategies, and it is important to recognize that some of the tactics and strategies that IKEA adopts can fall into 1 or 2 different buckets. So it can be sort of collaborate and engage, or it could be connect and collaborate, and so on and so forth. So don't think these silos have to be absolutely distinct. I think it's just important to think of this framework as a great way to look at your business, your marcom, and your communications, and how you engage with your customers, and how your customers are connected, and really think through all these things. So hopefully that's helpful. I will again stay around, be in chat, to now answer any additional questions that you might have. So please post them into chat, post them to attendee panelists and all attendees. And I would really appreciate if you do that. If you don't have any questions, best of luck. The course still is on running for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I will still be here for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if you have any questions as you're going through the next couple of modules, please let me know. It's been a great pleasure working directly with you on the debriefs, reviewing your homeworks, very insightful homeworks that inform the debrief. So thank you very much for that. So please, again, post into chat any questions that you have. If you don't have any questions, that was fantastic too. And it's been a tremendous pleasure, and best of luck in the future. And if we haven't connected on LinkedIn and you would like to, please send me a LinkedIn request. That would be fantastic. Okay. Thank you. Oh no, thank you guys very much. So I appreciate that. If you have any questions, please ping them. I don't want to miss them. And I know you might have said some things earlier on. Anyway, I'm not seeing any questions. I will hang out for another minute or two. Again, as you log out, if you could please answer the survey, that would be absolutely fantastic. And best of luck. Yes, Priya, if you could copy and paste it, that would be great. Very good. Okay. Great. I'm very happy that you guys seem positive. Okay, here we go. Isn't IKEA Hackers an example of an open forum platform where people come together to give an opinion, even though they may not have been asked directly? So wouldn't that form components of this strategy? I think you're more or less. Yes. I mean, I think this is why I wanted to talk about IKEAhackers.net, whether it is direct collaboration or not. They are collaborating, even if they're collaborating with each other around the IKEA brand. Is it direct collaboration with IKEA? I think we'd have to say if IKEA is participating to some extent in that dialogue and engagement, then it would be. But I don't think that they are, but I don't know unequivocally. So, but whether it is collaboration or not, as a brand, it's really interesting. And it's great as a brand to have a community like IKEAhackers.net really doing interesting things with your product. So it should be a good thing. So hopefully I answered that without committing to an answer, which is unfortunate. Rosanna said you raise your hand. If you have a question, if you could ping that into chat, that would be great. So an Amex forum will be an example of collaborate strategy as the brand itself starts. I would think so, yes. If not collaborate, it would certainly be a part of the connect strategy. So if they're just talking Amex and getting customer solutions and so on and so forth, it might simply be connect. If they're actually collaborating and talking about new product innovation coming out of American Express, or new marketing programs coming out. So if American Express is using that platform to get feedback on new ideas and so forth, then I would say for sure it's collaboration. Rosanna, you'll email me. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, I will leave it at that. Yes, Professor Rogers used this example twice, but not in the collaborate. He used it in engage, I think. Okay, fair enough. And again, some of them do cross over a little bit. I wouldn't get as hung up on exactly which bucket it should fit in. Not everything is you know square. Sometimes it's square pegs and round holes sort of thing, right? It's just important for us to understand what drives each of these strategies and so forth. So overall, which of the 5 strategies does IKEA do very well? Which of the 5 strategies does IKEA? I think IKEA needs more help with the connect collaborate strategies. Although on the collaborate side, at least, I think it does very well on the sort of primary research and really understanding customers and going out and working and living with customers. So on that side, they do well. I think IKEA does very well on the engage strategy, for example. And I do think there's a strong case on the customize, if you think of customize at the room level and the tools that they provide. But I think where they do fall down a little bit is on the connect and potentially on the collaborate. How they've handled IKEA Hackers.net when they try to shut it down, for example, showed a bit of naivety, I think, on their part. So they're not all perfect, but I think overall they're a very interesting brand and their engage strategy is outstanding. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, guys, being gender neutral, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm still around next 2 or 3 weeks or to the end of the course. If you have any questions, please ping me. And best of luck and that going forward, and have a great weekend.